Hi, Bob. Welcome to the AI Time Journal podcast series. This is Akshay Toshniwal, your host for the day. Before we start off, can you please introduce yourself to us?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm a big fan of the work that AI Time Journal is doing, and it's a super important space right now with a lot of interesting things going on. So I'm excited to be here with you. As you mentioned, I lead data science at Freewheel. So Freewheel really focuses on building technology that connects buyers and sellers in a video advertising ecosystem, right? Within data science, right, we're really focused on building data-driven solutions that enhance advertiser experience both on the buy side and on the sell side. Any type of publisher who owns video advertising inventory that they're looking to sell. And on the buy side, we're working with agencies and advertisers that are looking to reach their audiences across leveraging video advertising. So I've been in the ad tech space for over 11 years, but I've been in advanced analytics for probably over 20 years. And so, I've had a great opportunity to work on, different advanced analytics applications in different industries. But it's been great over the past 11 years in the ad tech space because it's such a hot area and growing area that's rapidly changing. So it's an exciting place to be in as someone in data science.
That's really amazing. Can you share something more about your work at Freewheel? What you do, how you do it, and what the work is actually at the core level, which is actually related to data science, AI, and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Within data science, there's a lot of great data science applications in the ed tech space in general, but specifically within Freewheel. So as a data scientist in the space, it's an exciting place to work in for many reasons. Number one is there's more data in this space than there ever has been, right? So there's data around audience, around ad viewership, and um, you know around segmentation, and a lot of interesting data is available in the industry that allows us to do many interesting things. Like some of the type of things that we may work on is around forecasting viewership of various content. A lot of the data we work with is not census level data. It's sampled and anonymized, and so we have to look for creative ways to sort of analyze audience. One of the key things we're building now and continue to build now is around an audience advertising marketplace, which is connecting, like I mentioned before, buyers and sellers. And so as that marketplace builds out, some of the data science work focuses on how do we simulate how that marketplace will operate, right, under different conditions of supply and demand and pricing. And another area that we do a lot of work in is ad schedule optimization, right? So given a set of ads across many advertisers and given certain ad supply where ads need to play, how do we optimize ad placement so that it's as most effective as possible? So, that's just a sample of some of the type of data science problems we get to work on. And it crosses a broad swath of sort of technical areas, such as, AI and machine learning, operations research and optimization, and statistical analysis.
That's really awesome, understanding and knowing what kind of work y'all do at Freewheel. So, I read about you and I went through your professional journey. What I understood is that you started your journey as a statistical consultant, and today you're the head of data science at Freewheel, you see. And just wanted to know, how do you feel about it? And are those areas, related in terms of your profession in any manner, right from being a statistical consultant to the head of data science? Any which ways those, areas are related to each other?
Yeah. Well, I would say over the course of my career, the thing that sort of connects each of the experiences that I've had is around leveraging advanced analytics. Now, the nature of the type of analytics that is used today versus 15 to 20 years ago has changed. Whereas 15 to 20 years ago, there was much more of a focus on using sort of standard types of statistical analysis. Now, as you read the news, everything is focused on machine learning and artificial intelligence. Now, that doesn't mean there's not still great use cases for traditional analytics and statistical analysis, but there has been that pretty major shift, right? And part of that shift has occurred because not just because of the methods, but because of the availability of data and computing power, right? So more data, as data storage became cheaper, as more computing power became available, some of these methods in artificial intelligence and machine learning really lend themselves for many other use cases that they would not have, even a decade ago.
Awesome, awesome. Glad to know that. A very, kind of a cliche question, maybe, but what made you think to make a career in the world of data science? Today many people are coming into this era of emerging technologies, into data science, AI, and ML. But what was your, motivation, and what made you think to, build a career in the world of data science? If you can talk a little bit about that, please.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good question. For my undergraduate degree, I studied industrial engineering. Part of that curriculum, right, statistical analysis tend to be a core part of that. And as I got exposed to that in those classes, I realized like that was the area I was most interested in. And I really wanted to dig in and learn more around that sort of applied math part of that. And so in graduate school, got more into optimization methods and statistical analysis. And at the time, neural networks were working their way into curriculum and machine learning. But it was very different because in order to really leverage machine learning capabilities at the time, you had to pretty much be able to code it yourself. But the shift we've seen is there's so many new machine learning platforms and software packages available that really lend those capabilities now to a much broader audience, right? You don't necessarily need an advanced degree in that space today to leverage some of these powerful capabilities. Now, if you do, that's great because you'll have a deeper understanding of some of what's going on there. But see this exponential increase of people in the space because it's easier for people to move up that learning curve, to leverage these kind of capabilities without having to code it from scratch. So that's really been the big shift. But and that's why for anyone who's in this space, sort of continuous learning is so important, right? Because there's sort of this evolution and change that you really have to keep up with.
That's amazing, Bob. Now, again, something related to the previous question that I asked. Today, many technical and non-technical people are entering into the data science and AI/ML space. So, what's your view on that? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think the reality is that data space in general is growing faster than many companies can keep up with. And to the point where they're trying to hire more sort of talent in the data space and are unable to do it at the speed at which they'd like to do it. And so what that means is there's a lot of opportunity, for somebody who's looking to work with data. And the other thing, because of that growth, I think you're seeing a greater variety of data roles, right? Some which are very technical and some which probably require less technical skills. On top of that, because data is so central to everything, really almost any company is doing right now, there's a need for people who can tell stories around data, right? To help their clients understand their products in terms of how they use data and how data creates value through the products that they offer. And so there is a need for soft skills around data, right? Where you need an understanding of how data is leveraged and what it represents. But not everyone who's working with it has to be a software engineer or a data scientist. So, I think what we're really seeing is all types of roles are going to have some touch point and require some level of deeper understanding with data, whether it's human resources, marketing, engineering or product development. I think every role in the company is somehow gonna touch data and require some level of data fluency.
In terms of complexity, if you want to express, and if I would like to ask, is it easy or too hard to build a career in the data and analytics space? I mean, what's your thought on that? Because you have such a great professional experience in this space. So I think you would be an absolutely perfect person to talk about this, that whether it is extremely hard, or is it easy if someone puts in the effort. So, what do you think about that? Is it very easy or hard to build a career in the data and analytics space?
Yeah. Well, I would say the opportunity is there because there's a need for talented data people. Um, People who will find it easier or the people that have a natural sort of passion for that space, right? I think, like you sort of referenced before, people who are just trying to get into it because it's a hot area may get in and find it's really not as exciting as maybe it was marketed to be. I think the people that do well and are working directly with data are natural problem solvers who are willing to sort of understand the data problems in the context of the business. Um, Data science is a great example where students study advanced analytics in college, right? They learn the latest in machine learning technologies. And many times when they're starting in their first role, they find that they're spending the majority of their time cleaning data, processing data, not so much the modeling aspect of it, right? And so for
Right.
somebody that is just jumping into the space thinking, oh, I'm just going to do, you know, the latest
That's
machine
right.
learning and deploy AI, is not quite that straightforward, right? There's a lot more that goes into working with data that
Mhm.
requires, you know, problem solving, getting sort of in depth into what you're working with, and even
Mhm.
leveraging some of the softer skills and working across a variety of groups. So I think the people that will do well and will be able to build a successful career in that space realize those things and are still excited about that type of opportunity.
What do you think is the future AI trends, to watch for? Any thoughts on that? Like what areas, what business domains, what industry verticals might AI actually create a very large impact? So, what do you think is the future? What are the future AI trends according to you?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think there's a couple interesting trends, and we talked about one of them, which is the development of software and AI platforms that enable a broader sort of population to leverage these type of capabilities.
Correct.
So what we're seeing is much more of the tasks that data scientists traditionally have to do, whether it's data preparation or exploratory data analysis or uh, like data normalization, whatever it may be, right? A lot of this is being automated through new software. And so areas where data may have spent, hours of their week before are no longer taking sort of that level of time now. And I think that trend will continue. And on top of that, what we're seeing is increased specialization. So, there are companies and I would say like AWS is one of them that are developing tools and capabilities that solve the problems of specific industries,
Okay.
right? So the advertising space, it's around working with uh, you know audience data or content data, and what are some of the common problems that we see there, and can we build software that is sort of specific to those capabilities? In finance, you'll see another set of problems, um, you know, that will have advanced analytical software targeted to solving those. And so you're seeing sort of increased specialization, increased level of automation of some of these processes, and as a result, AI is you're going to see it really embedded into any uh, sort of type of decisioning or analytics that is going to take place in the future because it's going to be much easier to do so. So it opens it up to a bigger audience. I think we'll continue to see that. And, you also see it, the educational industry following that trend, right? We've seen many, not just in colleges, but boot camps and online, free courses where there's so much opportunity to learn these capabilities. And that is there because the market is demanding that talent, right? And so we have, and we're going to continue to see an exponential increase because the educational opportunities are available. The jobs demand is there. And there are so many applications that lend themselves to the space. So I think we'll continue to see that.
If I would like to ask this way, what could be one best and worst advice for anyone wanting to make a career in the data science and AI field? If you can share some, thoughts on that, it'll be really great.
In terms of best or at least good advice, what I'd say is, first of all, it helps if you're passionate about the area, right? I think, for somebody who's passionate about the area, you're going to be naturally curious to learn more. And we talked a little bit earlier about the importance of continual learning in the space. This space is evolving so fast that it's not something where you learn a skill today and you can just sort of ride that out for the rest of your career. You need to sort of adapt as there's more development here, right? There's more AI platforms, there's more AI capabilities that are automated, particularly for somebody in industry, right? It's about how well can you connect advanced analytical capabilities with the context of your business. So in terms of advice, my advice is always understand the business you're in deeply so that you can identify how to connect data science tools to best solve the problems within that business. And that's a very valuable skill to have. It's a skill that really somebody only trained in the space of data science, or at least educated in that space, can make that connection, right? And so that's very valuable. In terms of worst advice, it's clear in the media, this is a very popular area lately, right? And so you see a lot of people who are jumping into it because they see that there is opportunity there, right? It's sort of well publicized, and there's a lot of excitement around it. If you're just getting into the field because of that, that's probably not a great idea, right? I think, like I said before, you're going to come into the space and sort of realize that a large percentage of your time isn't spent on, just building an AI model or, the newest sort of hot technology. A lot of it is digging very deeply and getting your hands dirty to understand underlying data, cleaning that, tracking down where it came from and how we can make the process better and how we collect data. And so I think if you're passionate about the problem that you're trying to solve, then you'll be motivated to work through those challenges, even when they're not related to analytics or model. And that's what's going to sort of bring value to the work you do. But with that, it is an exciting field, and there's a ton of opportunity. So,
according to you, if someone is just starting out their career in the data science and AI field, what motivation should they actually seek? What should they look for? And how should they start off, basically? So what motivation should someone seek if they're just starting out within this space?
Yeah. Well, I would say what's great about the space now is that there's so much opportunity to learn some of the basics for free. Udemy, Coursera, DataCamp, YouTube, many popular college courses now are online for free, in terms of the lectures and things like that. So for somebody who's curious about the space, I would encourage them to take some of those classes, right? You can generally find ways to do it at almost no cost beside the time you would have to invest. And that's a great way to explore it and identify, like, is this something I like? Is this something I want to build on. On top of that, on social media platforms is an opportunity to follow people in this space that are doing great work, right? And to, um, you know, follow, a variety of different influencers who provide not only resources for people to learn, but also sort of inspiration around the type of projects that they're working on. Many of who, are open to you can reach out to them and they're willing to answer more questions. So I would say for anyone who's just looking to get into the space and is tentative on whether they want to really commit to it, take advantage of some of those free opportunities, um, and think things like this this podcast, right? Like listen to some of the podcasts that are out there about people's experiences and what it's like, and reach out to some of the folks that are involved there, and get a good sense for it.
Thank you so much, Bob. It was really wonderful hosting you, and got to learn a lot of things from you, actually, from your professional experience, and wanting to know how your data science career was actually, right from being a statistical consultant to a head of data science today. So it was really a great talk that we actually had. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for being at AI Time Journal podcast series. It was really a pleasure to host you. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be talking with you, and like I said, it's an exciting time to be in this space, and there's a lot more interesting things to come. If we look at whether AI will be where we'll be 5 or 10 years from now, it's really going to be embedded into almost everything we do. So great time to be in space. And, great to talk to you today.